The freedom you fear. You say you want freedom. Freedom from stress. Freedom from expectations. Freedom from your old life. But here's the truth you try to avoid. Freedom is frightening. Because real freedom requires one thing. You must walk alone. And that is exactly what Miyamoto Musashi mastered. Not the freedom of ease, but the freedom of clarity, discipline, and complete self-direction. You fear disappointing others. You shape your choices around opinions. You follow paths that were never truly yours. Musashi stepped away from all of that and became the greatest swordsman in Japanese history. Today, we explore the most intimidating level of freedom, the way of walking alone, Dokkodo. And if you understand this, truly understand it, your life will no longer be controlled. The world fears the lone warrior. Musashi learned early that walking alone is not lonely, it is powerful. At just 13 years old, he fought his first duel. Not because he was forced, not because he sought approval, but because he felt an inner pull, a calling to follow his own path. Everyone thought he was reckless. A 13-year-old boy challenging a trained samurai. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't check whether people believed in him. He didn't wait to feel ready. He stepped forward, and he won. Here is the lesson for you. Your life does not truly begin until you stop needing permission to live it. You want freedom, yet you hold on to validation. You want strength, but you ask others if you are allowed to pursue your dreams. You want respect, yet you move with the crowd. Musashi did not follow crowds. He cut through them. The first rule of freedom: let go. In Dokkodo, written 1 week before his death, Musashi's first teaching was simple: accept everything exactly as it is. Not as weakness, not as surrender, but as clarity. You resist life. You argue with reality. You hold on to things that have already ended. You chase people who do not care, and that resistance slowly drains your energy. Musashi carried no emotional weight. He traveled with almost nothing, not to appear enlightened, but because excess becomes a burden. Your modern form of excess is constant notifications, unnecessary drama, perfectionism, false obligations, and people who exhaust you. Freedom is straightforward. Release what keeps you stuck. Musashi's rule was clear: do nothing that serves no purpose. Ask yourself honestly, when your life has no real use, what are you still carrying that drains your strength? Let go. The warrior who owed nothing to anyone. One of Musashi's most challenging teachings was this: do not seek to store possessions or security for old age. The meaning is simple: do not build your life on fear. You make decisions because you are afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of failure. Afraid of disappointing others. Afraid of losing what you already have. Miyamoto Musashi moved through life with only 2 swords. Not because he was careless, but because he refused to be controlled by possessions. He understood that whatever controls your attention controls your life. If you want freedom, stop allowing fear to decide your direction. The silence that makes you unbreakable. Musashi did not fill his days with noise. He filled them with skill. Between battles, he carved statues, painted ink scrolls, wrote letters, and meditated by rivers that he understood something most people never realize. Silence is not empty. Silence is filled with answers. You overload your mind with distractions. Music always playing, messages constantly buzzing, thoughts moving fast, dopamine everywhere. It's no surprise you feel drained. Your inner self never becomes quiet. Musashi teaches that in all things, have no preferences. This means do not cling, do not crave, and do not react impulsively. Stay still. Observe carefully. Act with clear judgment. The most challenging level of freedom is this: when outside, noise no longer controls your inner state, that walking alone does not mean loneliness. Many people believe walking alone equals isolation. Musashi proved otherwise. He had teachers, allies, and students, yet he did not rely on any of them. He was not shaped by the crowd. He was not driven by opinions. He was not restricted by relationships. Freedom is not the absence of people. Freedom is the absence of dependence. Ask yourself this: would your life collapse if certain people walked away? Would you stop moving forward if no one supported you? Musashi did not seek applause. He sought clarity. You can walk beside people. You can care for people. But your sense of self must not depend on them. That is real freedom, not the courage to choose your path. At the end of Dokkodo, Musashi writes, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." That is the courage many people lack. You focus too much on yourself, how you appear, what others think, whether you are enough. Musashi did not spend energy on self-doubt. He studied the world, its rhythm, its patterns, its truths. And by understanding the world, he came to understand himself. Your path becomes clear when you stop fixating on your weaknesses and begin observing reality. Freedom is not given. It is chosen. And most people are too afraid to choose. But not you, not anymore. The final test of freedom is this. Face yourself. There is one truth Musashi understood better than most. The hardest battle you will ever fight is not against rivals, not against society, and not against obstacles. It is against the fears you avoid confronting. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi wrote, "Know your opponent. Know his sword. Know yourself. Know your mind." Most people study others, but never study themselves. They know every detail of a celebrity's life, yet nothing about their own purpose. They know who they envy, but not who they truly are. They recognize their distractions, but not their direction. This is why you feel lost. This is why you feel divided. This is why freedom feels unreachable, because you keep running from yourself. Musashi did not run. He sat with his fears. He faced his flaws directly, without excuses and without denial. He lived in a cave, not to escape the world, but to confront everything within himself. He understood that the final test of freedom is this. Can you sit alone with your thoughts and not react? No scrolling, no noise, no escape, just you and the truth you have been avoiding. This is why most people never become free. Not because they are weak, but because they are afraid to meet their true selves. But here is the breakthrough. Once you face yourself, nothing else can control you. This is the level Musashi reached, and it is the level you are capable of reaching. Because the moment you confront your own mind, you stop being trapped by it. You stop being driven by fear. You stop living on autopilot. And that is when real freedom begins, not outside, but inside, the way of walking alone. Musashi walked alone throughout his life, not because he lacked anything, but because he was full of purpose, full of clarity, full of direction. You feel exhausted because your life pulls you in countless directions. Musashi had one direction. You chase validation. He pursued mastery. You hold on to what drains your spirit. He released everything that had no value. You fear being alone. He found strength in it. This is the most challenging level of freedom, when you stop needing anything and start creating everything. Walk your path, not theirs, not the crowd's, not society's. Your path. Once you do, you will not fear loneliness. You will fear ever losing yourself again. This is your moment. Your path of Dokkodo begins now. Detach, focus, evolve, walk alone, and become unstoppable.